Hey, Dr. Claw here with a brief explanation of how to complete the favorite quotes assignment. So you'll complete the favorite quotes assignment in the same way for any text in the Monsters course. I am looking specifically today at the Fairy Queen. So your goal with the favorite quotes assignment is for you to notice what parts of the text stand out to you and to be able to kind of zoom in on what specifically about that part of the text stood out to you. So when you're looking for your quotes, I urge you to look for something smaller and shorter rather than a paragraph or, like a dozen lines of poetry or something like that. You'll explain why those parts of the text stood out to you, and you'll provide MLA in-text citations for them. And this is just in-text and parenthetical citations are the same thing. There's just two names for that same practice. But I actually have a resource here in the assignment instructions called English 2130 Citation Info that has lots of information about in-text or parenthetical citations, so I'm not going to go into that right now, but do be sure to download this. This is a Word document and look at it closely. And then the OWL at Purdue, this link will take you to their MLA style guide, which can also be really helpful. Okay, so basically you'll look at the text, identify some moments that stood out to you, and start thinking about, are there any specific words, phrases, or lines that stood out to you? I put sections in here, but that's really going to be, you might start with a section, but you'll still need to narrow. So you'll find 3 moments. Transcribe them accurately, so type them up correctly, accurately. If you're working with a training camp text, which some of those are online, make sure you double check when you copy and paste because they don't always copy and paste correctly. And same thing if you're using a PDF of the Babel. Copying and pasting between a PDF and a Word document, it doesn't always work correctly. So I will be evaluating whether you have transcribed it accurately. So make sure that you are double checking that before you submit. You'll need to include line breaks between lines of poetry. So a line break is just this little slash here, and that tells your reader that there's more than one line of poetry in what you're quoting, and it shows them where the line break is. Because in poetry, line breaks are pretty important. So it is important to identify where those happen. And then finally, you'll have that parenthetical or in-text citation for each quotation that you choose. All right, and then after each quotation, you will explain in a few sentences what drew you to the quotation. So what was it that made it jump out to you? Was it interesting? Was it exciting? Was it confusing? And you're like, I don't really understand what's happening here, and I want to understand what's happening here. Why did the quotation that you chose seem worth writing down? And then you'll complete a works cited entry for the text. And here I have this as singular, work instead of works, because this particular works cited will only have one text in it. So one text, singular work. And that should also be in MLA format. So again, make sure you check these 2 resources for more information about those parenthetical citations as well as the works cited entry. Okay, so that's what you're going to do, and then it's useful to know why you're going to do it. And the reason for this is that in order to make an analytical argument about a text, you need to have evidence, and evidence in this class is quotation from the text, because a quotation is a fact that exists in the text. It's not your interpretation that the text says that. It is literally what the text says. And that's why this class is very much in favor of quotation more than summaries or something like that. And I know that maybe it was different in other classes, but for this class, we try to do quotation rather than summaries as much as possible. It is the factual portion of an analytical argument. And in arguments in this class, we will color code the facts blue. So what you're finding right now is material you can use as blue sections of your arguments. And don't worry if when I'm talking about blue, you're like, I have no idea what she's talking about. As you read more about the analytical paragraph and your final drafts of the papers, you're going to understand a lot more about that. And you can certainly look at the Yellow Dig posts I've made with the writing tag. Anyway, as you are looking for your evidence, it might be easy for you, it might be hard for you, but everybody will have to do it for the papers. So it's worth doing this assignment to help give you a leg up, and you can use any of the quotations that you turn in for a favorite quotes assignment in any of the writing assignments in this class, like the analytical paragraph or the papers. And yeah, so let's just look at the rubric. So you'll need 3 quotations from the text. They should be separate from one another, so I'm not looking for quotations that are all in the same section of the text. You should explain what drew you to each quotation, and then format it properly using MLA format. So like I said, you'll need that works cited entry, you'll need the parenthetical citations, and you'll need to transcribe it accurately. In some final details, your submissions should include your name and should clearly differentiate between each quotation and should place the works cited entry at the end of the document. And that is it.